Manufacturing is described as the process of converting raw materials, components, or parts into the finished goods that meet a customer's expectations and specifications.
Due to the increase in the cost of oil, production cost for plastic is also on the rise. In order to be more cost efficient, manufacturers are veering away from using petroleum-based plastic packaging or clamshell packaging such as this, and they're starting to use paper packaging such as this. Not only does paper packaging allow manufacturers to save money, but it is also eco-friendly. Unlike plastic, which even when recycled is only able to be used once, paper packaging can be recycled up to 5 to 7 times. With current economic state, more and more manufacturers are adopting this method.
Supply chain management system flows has 3 main aspects to it. The product flow is actually how an item goes through the supply chain. The information flow is the tracking of that item from point A to point B. And financial flow breaks down what aspects are costing the company X amount of dollars throughout the chain.
A supply chain is a sequence of organizations, their facilities, functions, and activities that are involved in producing and delivering a product or service to an existing company. According to CSX.com, moving freight by rail is 3 times more fuel efficient than moving freight on the highway. For example, trains can move a ton of freight nearly 500 miles on a single gallon of fuel. CSX has implemented energy-saving measures to combat rising fuel costs through employee training and a locomotive event recorder automated download that engineers use to provide feedback on how to improve fuel efficiency. Also, using locomotive idling reduction technology, locomotive fleet enhancement, and new technologies such as real-time energy management technology to identify the most fuel-efficient throttle settings. In addition, methods of rail lubrication are being explored to reduce rail-to-wheel friction.
Basically, I would think it would have to do with physics. Is that a steel rail with a steel wheel is efficient because there's only a little bit of metal touching metal. Once you get a train or railroad car moving, it does not take much horsepower to keep it moving. Engineer can haul maybe 150 or 200 cars, whereas a tractor trailer would have to have, a driver for the equivalent of 1 car. And with airplanes, it's even more inefficient because it takes a lot of fuel to get up in the air and to keep moving. The reverse side of it is that with trains, you have to go where the rails go. You can't go. It's hard to go door to door, and you're less flexible. The railroads handle that partially by putting trailers on railroad cars or containers. You take the container or trailer off when you get to one destination.
Distribution by air has one of the highest fuel expenses, accounting for about 15% of its operating expenses. However, companies consistently ship freight by air because the increase in variable costs is offset by the ability to ship freight much quicker with a relative price increase that is transferred to the consumer.
A yield is a standard unit of airline prices defined as the average revenue per ton mile. Air cargo yields are directly related to fuel prices and the corresponding surcharges. However, over the past decade, air cargo freight yields have declined an average rate of 1.6% per year. As you can see by the graph, the air cargo freight industry is still very profitable. In 2010, total industry revenue exceeded $26 billion, and companies such as UPS and FedEx remain industry leaders.
Maritime shipping, or shipping by boat, has responded to the rise in the oil costs by moving at lower speeds, also known as slow steaming. In doing so, they ran into scheduling difficulties, and demand has decreased for long-distance cargo movements and inside port calls at ports having the most direct hinterland connections.
Even with the technological advances in freight shipping, Cargo ships remain the most efficient method of transporting petroleum. Each year, 2.4 billion tons of petroleum are transported by ship, accounting for roughly 62% of all petroleum produced.